G'day, welcome back. I'd especially like to welcome my new subscribers, and I hope you enjoy the content on my channel. If you missed part 4 of my Webster engine build, there's a link up there now. Go and watch that first, and then come back and watch this one. Well, I hope you had a great holiday season, break if you had one. Too bad if you had to work through it, but anyway, it's, some jobs are like that. And that you didn't imbibe too much in New Year's and knock yourself around too much. But anyway, so let's get on with this. We'll head over the bench and have a look, see what we can get up to for the first episode of 2025. Over there. Alrighty, so while I'm waiting for those two gears to get here, we shouldn't be too far away now, I hope. We get in and make these valve bodies. There's 3 of them you have to make. And then once I've done them, I've got to make the valve guides and the valves, so we end up with a unit that looks like this. So that's what we'll do in this video. We'll make all this stuff up, and hopefully I'll get time to do the guides and the valves. But anyway, we'll see how we go. Oh, before I get off that subject, I tracked down a set, the cheapest chips it was too, of little C clips or E clips, whatever you call them. Because these, according to the plans, are drilled, and a little pin goes through, a 1mm pin goes in there to hold the spring cap on. Well, what I'm going to try and do is put a little groove in it, put a C-clip in it, like a C-clip or an E-clip, whatever you want to call it. So they'll be here in the next day or so, no two. Anyway, we'll get on with making these aluminium bodies up first. Alrighty, that should have been the last pass. This is the leftover piece from that long bit of flat I bought to make the 2 uprights, and it's just bloody perfect to make 3 pieces of this thing out of 639. Alright, they were specifying 635, but I'm going to live with 639. Right, so I'll get that out of there now, and I'll clean these 2 edges up, and just knock the burrs off these 2. Then I'm going to mark it up, cut it into 3 pieces so that I can mill these edges all at the same time. Just line them up in there and mill them all at the same time. Then I'll know that everything is exactly the same size. Alrighty. 25.48, so 0.08 to come off that. A bit of masking tape on the back so when I cut it up it doesn't scratch the hell out of the back of it. Bingo! So now I'll mark that into 3 equal pieces, go and cut it in the saw, and we'll set it up, and then we'll mill all of them at the same time so they're all the same size. Damn it, there's a little tiny bit right there that I bloody didn't get far out, and I reckon that's just about right where it's got to be at the moment. I'll make one more pass and try and take as little as possible to get rid of that. Alrighty, so to make sure these all gripped well in here, I left the masking tape on the back of it. Let's see where we ended up. I was shooting for 16. So we ended up at 15.84. It was 8.85. I was calling for 8.8. So if I just didn't quite leave enough to clean up on that last cut. Anyway, so all 3 of these should all be the same bloody size now. So what I will do, I'm thinking about, I'm going to put them all in the vise at the same time, because they all have to have holes drilled down through them. And I think what I might do is put a piece of masking tape on one of the jaws, so that when I do it up tight, it'll be hard up against the fixed jaw, and the movable jaw will have the masking tape on it so that it squeezes them all evenly. But that's a job for tomorrow, because it's just about beer o'clock. Alrighty, so just before I get started this morning, if you've been following along just recently, you'll know I've been having issues with the nod and everything on this mill and drilling holes straight through things. And I had made a video just recently about adjusting the nod and then had to change it again because I couldn't fly cut things properly. I was lying in bed trying to get to sleep last night thinking about drilling these things today and thinking, well, I've got to get them straight. Everything's got to be straight because there's not much room to play with in these. I suddenly had an epiphany. Now, I hope you can see that. Yeah, that says 0. Put it on here. Moment ago, there it is, 90 degrees. It's bounced around between 89, 95 and 90 degrees. So let's call that 90 degrees, right? But let's come over here, put it on here. It's 89.5 degrees. So this and this don't line up. And the epiphany I had was because, let me move this camera up a bit now that you've seen that stuff. This bit here is all manufactured. I mean, I made that. That's made out of 2 pieces of U-channel with a big disc welded to the back of it. And then this piece cut out, another bit welded in, and then the top's sort of machined this off in the lathe when I did it. And I suddenly thought, well, the only way that this can, if that's 90 degrees there and this is still not right, and it's, you know, cutting on an angle like that when you're trying to fly cut things, this has to be wrong. And there it is, there's the proof that it is. So I think the only way I can get around that is to shim this disc at the bottom here, I think, to kick it out. So I'm not going to mess around with that today. I'll do what I did the other day and just change the vise to make this, the drill go straight down through it. Even then it won't be perfect, but it'll be close. Because you saw when I drilled the piston, it ended out over that far, it ended up out about 0.05 of a millimetre, so I think I can live with that. So I'm not going to muck around trying to fix this today, but now I know what the problem is, and now I know how I'm going to have to fix it. Alrighty, so I've spent a bit of time setting all this up, and I've been around and spotted everything, drilled that one hole that goes all the way through in the centre, because it's sort of common to all 3 of them. Now, these have to have, the top 2 are drilled out to, well, it'll be 3mm for a 3mm bolt, but all of them, all the way through with a 2.5, so that the bottom one can be threaded M3. So let's get going. Well, don't take a while because I've pack it so many times. I'll bring you back later. Alrighty, so I've got all those 2.5mm holes drilled, so now we'll drill 3mm holes through 2 more. Righty, so I don't have a lot of confidence that gap went all the way through, but it doesn't matter. I can always clean them out a bit later. Well, that's those bits successfully done, I think, I hope. So from now on, I have to flip them, take them out of there and work on them one at a time. The centre one, the middle one, has to have 2 holes drilled across that way. Where are we? Yeah, that's these 2 here. And then the top and bottom ones have to have this hole made a bit bigger, out to, what's that, that's 5/16. And then it says to make that, what's it, it's nearly 3/8, but I think I'll just go, I don't have 9.5, I'll go 10, I think. Oh, I hope I can fit that in there. Shoot. I don't know what to do with that. I'll have to think about that. But anyway, and then, which one's that one? I'm not sure which one that one is. One of them has to have an exhaust port put in the side of it, and the other one has to have an intake port put in the side of it. But we'll figure all that out up next. Alrighty, so over lunch I tracked down a, where are we, for here, these recesses I have to put in here, a 3/8 end mill here in Thailand. So hopefully they'll get that away today, and I'll have it tomorrow, if not the next day. A bit of luck. Now, I don't want to break down this setup, so what I'm going to do is drill the 5/16 hole through this one and the bottom one, which are the two that have to have that done to. There's the bottom, that might be the bottom one there. No, this is the bottom one. This is the one that's got the threads in it, this one. So they both could have 5/16 holes through them, so we'll do that. And then I'm going to leave this setup alone and we'll head over to the lathe and we might make up these two bits out of that. I didn't actually buy a piece of brass to make them out of, so but I can get them both out of that. But I did buy a length of 5/16 round a while back just for the sake of it, so I had some, and I'll get the two valves out of that. Anyway, we'll drill these two holes in the air and get them out of the way. Righty, so that's those two out of the way for the time being. They need to have that 3/8 recess put into one side of it. So that's those two done. We'll leave them alone now for a while. And that's the centre one. It has to be turned on its sides, but I don't want to break the setup to turn it on its side, lose all my centres and everything. Alrighty, thanks to those damn meds I'm taking, they're knocking me around. I haven't done anything since I drilled those two holes in there yesterday. I feel so ratty, so bloody tired and run down. Anyway, this 3/8 end mill just showed up about 10 minutes ago. It's just amazing when you good suppliers and good transport companies how quick you get stuff. The supplier for that is halfway down the peninsula to Malaysia, i.e. a very long way from here, and still got here the next day. So, you know, just goes to show what they can do when they want to. Alrighty, now I wouldn't ordinarily put an end mill in a drill chuck, but this is running really true, and I'm literally only drilling a hole. Got to go on there 0.8 of a millimetre, so I'm just going to leave that in because I've still got a lot of holes to drill with this in there, so let's do it. Alrighty, so that's that. I've got to do one more yet, but I won't bother to video that. Alrighty, I've done literally nothing for 2 days because I just felt like bloody doing nothing, but like shit. So it's about time we got on with these and make these two bits here. On another front, good news is, looks like they finished that house over the road. I'll put a picture up there so you can see. It looks pretty bloody good actually for something that's just painted black and white. But anyway, so let's get on with this. Make sure we're going too small. What come off there? No, 2 millimetres come off that yet. Oh shit! It's got to fit into that bit there. So what's that measuring? That's measuring 9.7, 10.14, 0.2, and check it. I want to be a bit of a press fit in there, so I'm going to leave it at that and finish that off. Let's dress that up just a little bit later. Now we're going to go down to 10.33 millimetres down to 4.76. I never thought of that when I did. There's a step in there that I've got to put into it. And it's not 4.76, it's 5/16. I'm still bigger than that, it's okay. That's a bloody cocker. Probably shouldn't be doing this. My head is still, it's just terrible. Got another week of taking these bloody pills yet before I go back to see her, and it's just knocking me around so much. That bloody step shouldn't be there, but I don't think it'll matter because it's up inside here and it won't freaking matter, I don't think. What's going on here? I'll come back to you. I think all the measurements on the drawing are from this end, not this end, and I might have worked something out wrong. I'll come back and my brain is so fuzzy at the moment. I probably shouldn't even be doing this. That's, I don't, you know, the way I'm looking at this is just, this point here has to come all the way back up in here somewhere, 15.08 millimeters. That looks better. Alrighty, so now I've got to go down to 4.76 in 10.33. Hang on. Okay, so now I've got to cut a taper on there. I went through my nice new angle blocks this morning, thinking, yeah, I'll have a 2.5 degree one. No, didn't have one. Had a 2 degree and then it jumped to 5, I think, so I had to have a guess at about 2.5. Oh, I didn't get it off tit free. I didn't drill it because it has a tiny little hole up through here and I do want to drill it the full length. But it has to be drilled and much bigger with a seat down inside here, so I decided that, you know, once I've done that, then I only have to drill sort of this far up through there. Well, I'm going to go check my blood pressure because it's what these pills are doing is making me feel sort of woozy as hell all the time, and that's because it's dropping my bloody blood pressure. Something fierce. Well, something's not bloody right there. That should poke all the way through there. Let's try and squeeze it in a bit harder, or shampoo this a bit more in there, maybe. Yeah, it's dropping my blood pressure all the time. That's what makes me feel so lightheaded. Anyway, I'm not going to make you sit through another one of them. That was like bloody torture. It was torture for me. It must have been torture for you. Alrighty, so another wasted day yesterday. Spent, computer bloody died, and I'm going to spend a whole heap of money I didn't want to spend and buy a new one. It's about, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 years since I upgraded the last one. So anyway, now these things, I've got to finish the back end of these. I was hoping to do a bit of experimentation, but I've ended up making 3 of these because I stuffed this first one up. A bit of experimentation with this one, but I ended up using the wrong bloody spotting drill, the 8mm one instead of the 6mm one. And the idea was to centre it and cut the seat all at the same time, because it had to be a 45-degree seat, and then put a drill down in there to the bottom of this cup and then a smaller drill all the way through. So I've started out with this one again now with using the 6mm, but I didn't go deep enough, so I'm going to finish that again afterwards, but I've got another idea for that. So I've gone in there with a 5.5mm drill now to the depth, and now I'm going to put this 2.5mm drill down through there. These are supposed to be reamed, those holes, but I don't really have a reamer to use and couldn't be bothered. And I've got to make the valve, so I'll just make the valve to fit the hole. Alrighty, so now to try and cut that 45-degree seat for here, and it's supposed to only be a 0.5 millimetre wide, which is got, you know, nigh impossible to measure. And this is only a little tiny, I think it's a 6mm. But the measure's got 3 points on it. And I'm just going to try and cut the seat with that rather than, and I've still got my compound slide on, but I'll be damned if I'm going to try and turn a 45-degree seat on there 0.5 millimetre wide. That's just crazy. So I'll turn the speed way down low. Bugger all in it. Could be 0.5 mil, who knows? Jesus, I mean, it's not impossible to measure. And it's probably something close, but I might just give it just a tad more and end up hoping that I can. Oh, now that looks like about 1 millimetre wide, but anyway. That's it for this one. I'll get that out of there. Alrighty, so that fits in there, and that's the valve seat there, upside. Alright, I won't make you watch the other one. Not that you saw much of this one, but there's not a lot to see, and they're so bloody small, it's hard to see anything. Alright, it's shopping day today, so, and I've got to duck back into town. I left one of my hard drives in my old hard drives, so I've got to go back into town and get that, and then try and download everything off that hard drive. Anyway, so that's that. Alrighty, so let's try and do something about making some valves. That's a bit of 5/16 round. It's got to be turned down to quarter round, so 6 point something, whatever it is, 6.35. Now, those little circlips I ordered, I started thinking, where the hell are they? And I went looking for them today. Bloody things haven't even been shipped yet. It's more than a week since I ordered them, so I don't know what the hell's going on there. So I haven't got one to try. Don't really have it. I don't know how thick they are, so I don't really know how wide to make the groove. I do know where to put it, but what I'm going to do is use this worn out hacksaw blade, which pretty well got almost no set left on it, and just I'm going to machine up a shoulder so I can sit next to the shoulder and then try and just cut a groove in it with this down to 2mm round. The shaft will be 2.5 or thereabouts. I've tried in those sleeves to make sure they fit. I've already faced it. I bought myself a new centre a while back. I hadn't used it because if I put it up in there I wouldn't be able to eject it, and I had to drill and tap the end, put a bolt in it so I can eject the bloody thing when I want to get it out. But I bought it just for doing little things like this. Anyway, let's go. Change to one of those stainless tips. Oh, look. No wonder the bloody thing wasn't cutting it. Some idiot didn't tighten it down. Idiot. God. Alrighty, so what I want to do now is turn down the bit in here to about the right size, 2.5mm, and then put that bloody groove in there while we've still got plenty of meat here. So that's 2.5. See if we'll go over on those valve stems, valve guides should I say. Alrighty, so I'll get that live centre back in there and see if we can't put a groove in there with that axle. It's a bit bloody Roger rough, isn't it? We can get down in there and measure that. 2.15, so I need a little bit more if I use a 2mm circlip. 2.04, I think I'll settle on that because I don't know if I can get all the way in there to measure it. Right now, so I need to machine this down, but I won't bore you with that. I'll come back to you when I'm ready to cut the valve face. At this point in the video, I'd like to thank my patrons. This continued support is greatly appreciated. If you'd like to become a patron, there's a link down in the description. You can sign up there and drop me a couple of dollars every month. If you don't want to be a regular contributor, there's always buy me a coffee. Now, let's get back to the build. Well, I'm still making cock-ups here. I mean, I just, seriously, I can't believe some of the shit I'm doing at the moment. Finished machining that down, got it nice. Then went to retract the tool. Instead of retracting it, drove it through underneath here and wrecked that bit there. No, I've got to cut this 45 degrees now, so I suppose I can go back a bit further and then put another groove back here and then cut that off afterwards. I might loosen the chuck and just pull it out a little bit further so that I can just machine it back a bit more. Truly, I can't think straight at the moment. It's just unbelievable. I just can't believe it. I just keep making silly bloody mistakes. I mean, it's, you know, when you can't get your head around shit. Unbelievable. Things will be 1 inch overall. I mean, that's about, you know, it'd be about right if I hadn't stuffed it up here. Wish I had a circuit so I could try that on there. But I think what I'm going to have to do is just machine this bit off, put another groove in it, move this all back. But I'm not going to make you watch all that. You see how I'm going to do this now. So I'll bring you back when I've got a bloody valve finished. Well, viewers, that's not the first one I made. It's the second one. first one, when I tried to move it out and extend it, it just snapped off. I had no idea why. Anyway, here's the first one. I've still got to make another one yet. I've got to say, that's probably one of the hardest things I've ever made, had to make in my bloody life. And trimming off, I added an extra millimetre to everything so I could clean the end up, get rid of the little centre I had in it. That was nerve-wracking, trying to turn that little tiny bit off the end, bit by bit by bit. Anyway, that's one down, one to go. Alrighty, so there's two of them. One's encapsulated in there. There's the other one. Now I was really hoping this week to get this all, mounted up on here, but I mean, you've witnessed what's been going on, and I sincerely apologise for that. I still feel like shit even today. I feel a little bit better today, but I've only got a couple of days left and I'll go back and see the urologist, and I'm truly hoping she doesn't say to me, you've got to take these pills for the rest of your life, because I might as well go and do myself in now, put up with this for the rest of my life. Either that or put up with getting up peeing all night, one or the other. So that's about it for this week. We'll call it quits at that, and I'll see you all next week. Hopefully I won't be on those 10 pills next week, and I'll feel a whole lot better and we'll get more done. So thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you smash that like button and give it a great big thumbs up, because you know it kind of helps me out. Alright, I'll see you all next week, for better or for worse. Bye bye.